Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living in the Heart of Las Cruces. I'm Sarah Benson, and we're going to start with a couple songs. If you'd like to stand, you may. If not, that's fine. Yeah, we'll just kind of get our happy groove on this morning. I love myself the way I am. There's nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love you the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. And I feel the love inside myself. It's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see your shining star. I love you just the way you are. I love the world the way it is, so I can clearly see that all the things that judge are done by people just like me. So till the birth of peace on earth that only love can bring, I'll help it grow by loving everything. I love myself the way I am, and still I want to grow. The change outside can only come, but deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. Yes, I love myself just the way I am. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Good morning, everybody. Hello. I'm Teresa Valenzuela, and I'm a licensed practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces. We are a world working in loving partnership for the good of all. That is our vision here at the center. Welcome to anyone visiting for the first time. I'm trying to look out there and see if I see any new faces. If you are new here, there is a gift package, a welcome to CSL package at the table as you're walking out into our social hall. Please pick one up, and there's a nice little gift certificate for our bookstore that you can use today to treat yourself to this amazing gift that we have already this morning. I did want to begin with an announcement that's not included on here. Yesterday was Ernest Holmes' 136th birthday. And so he's gone on to his next adventure a few years back. But we are sitting in this room, relishing the wisdom that he brought to us through New Thought, through not just one doorway, not just one golden strand, but through many. And we have a wonderful guest speaker today from our sister fellow New Thought, as I'm looking at Barbara, New Thought community here. So we are definitely one heart and one mind. Happy birthday, Ernie. In 2022, we established the Legacy of Faith at the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces. Members of the Legacy are those who have demonstrated a giving consciousness by naming the center in their estate plans. To commemorate these generous donors, we will be installing a faith wall in the center. We would like you to help us come up with a visual concept. All of our creative minds working together. See the newsletter for more information, or the information table in the social hall. And the second part of that is that we are having our second Legacy of Faith workshop next Sunday, right after morning service. And it'll probably last for less than an hour. So if you're interested in finding out what the Legacy of Faith is and what it means to our community here, please plan on attending. Or if you have a question, let us know. I can't answer one, but I can direct you to the person who can answer those questions. Karen is not with us today. Add to your root and reboot by joining in the Spiritual Circle Zooms on Monday at 11. They go over the Science of Mind magazine. I just renewed my subscription, by the way, and this morning our meditation came from some affirmations that were included in the Science of Mind magazine. So if you're looking for more, there it is. A new look for the New Year interior design workshop was canceled, but a new date, right, Sharon, is going to be determined. And please let us know if you're interested. There's the sign-up sheet in the social hall as well. So if you'll sign up and maybe put your phone number in there, we can get a hold of you when that date is decided upon. Save the date and time to join the class, This Thing Called You, starting this Thursday, January 26th. It starts at 3 and it lasts till 6. And there is also a flyer for that in our social hall. The reading that I'm doing today is from that book that you will be using in that class, This Thing Called You. And I believe, in the power of prayer, which we call spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. There is a prayer request card in the seat back, so if you would like to share with us any prayer requests that you have, every Tuesday afternoon, the New Thought community meets together and we pray with you. And we would also love to hear the joyous gratitudes, the manifestations of the miracles in your life that come about through prayer or affirmation, visualization, whatever those tools are that you've used. We'd love to hear about those gratitudes. We also share that on Tuesday afternoon with the team. And after service, we have some practitioners here that are wearing stoles, or a practitioner here wearing a stole. But I'd love to pray with you. When practitioners work with individuals, we are one heart, one mind. We are aligning ourselves to that truth as well. So when there is miracles in your life, there is miracles in mine and in the world. So I will be here after service up here in front. I believe I've gotten everything. Now it is time for song, silence, and prayer. Thank you. So I invite you to just allow yourself to be immersed in this beautiful, sacred time together, this sacred silence that we're experiencing right now. And feel your heart open and your thoughts ready to receive love and wisdom, compassion and kindness, maybe a new pair of lenses, a new way of looking at life, at living life, right here and right now. We are absolutely blessed today. And I invite you to just breathe into that blessed space, knowing that it's already in that divine perfection, infinite possibilities today and every day. And with love and law grounding us to these words, I release and let go and know it is done. And so it is. So the reading today that I'm sharing with you is out of the book, This Thing Called You. Not too late to sign up for the class. And it's from page 100. Words that Ernest Holmes left us with. My body is a temple of the living spirit. It is a spiritual substance. Every part of my body is in harmony with the living spirit within me. The life of this divine spirit flows through every atom of my being, revitalizing, reinvigorating, and renewing every particle of my physical body. There is a pattern of perfection at the center of my being, which is now operating through every organ, function, action, and reaction. My body is a divine idea forever renewed by the Spirit. The Spirit within me is alive, awake, and aware. It is always flowing through me in perfect life. I accept my spiritual perfection. I know that my physical being is included in it. It is a manifestation of the life, the energy, the love, the peace, and the power which is of the Spirit. I know that this day in which I live, this present time, which is now, is perfect. And so it is.
Okay, band, we're up.
And I can talk more too.
Oh, yours. Okay.
Okay. This is just a lovely and fun song by a country music band called Little Big Town. And it's called Happy People, which I hope we all are today. Happy people don't cheat. Happy people don't lie.
They don't judge or hold a grudge. They don't criticize.
Happy people don't hate. Happy people don't steal.
'Cause all the hurt sure ain't worth all the guilt they'd feel. If you want to know the secret, and by gotta make it, you ain't ever gonna be it
by taking someone else's away.
Never take it for granted. You don't have to understand it.
Here's to whatever puts a smile on your face.
Whatever makes you happy, people.
Happy people don't fail. Happy people just learn.
Don't think they're above the push and shove. They just wait their turn.
They always got a hand or a dollar to spare.
Know the golden rule or what you're going through, even if they've never been there. If you want to know the secret, and by gotta make it, you ain't ever gonna be it
by taking someone else's away.
Never take it for granted. You don't have to understand it.
Here's to whatever puts a smile on your face.
Whatever makes you happy, people.
These days ain't always easy to find. They're the ones that you want standing by your side. No time for greed. If you need some, give them a slice. And we'll all be happy people. Well, life is short and love is rare. And we all deserve to be happy while we're here.
Thanks, Kay. That was terrific.
There's nothing like a room full of happy people. Thank you. Thank you. So today I get to introduce our guest speaker, Edward Burlbaw. I've never said his last name out loud. So, did okay? Thank you, Sharon. Edward was introduced to New Thought concepts in the 70s through a trance channel at the Quimby Center in Alamogordo, New Mexico. While in college in Socorro and Las Cruces, Edward traveled to Alamogordo most weekends and received training as an aura balancer and spiritual counselor. In the mid-'80s, he stepped away from Quimby Center and took a less active pursuit of formal spirituality, but never forgetting that learning. It wasn't until the early 2000s when Edward's curiosity was piqued upon hearing of a church his neighbor, Reverend Sam Ritchie, had started that he engaged again. Soon, Edward began attending Wellspring regularly and even became a board member. Since that time, Edward has taken many CSL classes and appreciates the teachings of Ernest Holmes. After the retirement of Reverend Sam and various ministers in the meantime who have come and gone, Edward has been a steadfast supporter of his faith community. I'd almost like to say bedrock. That's not on here, but the foundation, facilitating their spiritual leadership team that includes himself. Reverend Kamathata and practitioner Peggy Shen, who support Wellspring Sunday service every month, is part of that leadership team. Throughout his life, Edward has been committed to his own spiritual practice and fostering a deep sense of community in support of others' spiritual practice as well. And here he is to share and support our community today. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Teresa. And I want to thank Reverend Bonnie for inviting me back. We had lunch, when we had dinner, I think it was somewhere around November. And then we sat and talked a while, and about 4 hours later, we had just enjoyed kind of reconnecting. You know, COVID sort of pulled everybody apart. You had this tendency not to go anywhere, not to meet with folks you had always been meeting with in person and so forth. But at any rate, during that time, we had a discussion about possibility of my speaking here. And I said, well, you know, I don't think it's going to happen in November or December, but she said, look, January is far enough away. How about we schedule a time in January? So yes, here I am, and I'm happy to be here. Good to see you. Many of you I already know, and so that's wonderful. And, you know, this is about the time in the month, or maybe I could say the year, but probably the month that many of us remember that we made New Year's resolutions, but we can't quite remember what they were. You know, the ones that we usually forget about by February 1st. That's typical in the other world, so to speak. And as far as keeping the resolution, whatever we did to achieve our goals somehow didn't get us there. And I think that old expression may apply. Well, how did that work out for you, right? So rather than talk about how to lose those extra pounds or quit this or quit that, I want to speak about making some systemic changes which might help us to keep those resolutions. So I named my talk for today, Refresh Our Belief Systems for the New Year. And I know the CSL theme for January is root and reboot. So I want to start out by talking about some of the roots of new thought, and not only new thought, but also fundamentals of most Christian religions. And that's what we read in Genesis 1. And why do I go there? Well, if you know Genesis, it speaks of the beginning of creation. You know, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I said, well, maybe we should say that was close to the beginning, because in the beginning was God. So I got to find where I am in my notes. So before God could create, God must have existed. So in the beginning, God. It was all God and it was all good. Then when God set out to create, what were the raw materials that God used to create with or from? It must have been God's stuff, right? There was nothing else. So everything from the light to the humans were made of God's stuff. So we are God's stuff. We are made of God's stuff. And we are godlings made in the image and likeness with all the same characteristics of God. So that's the first point of the intro that I want to make. The second is that after 6 days of creation, God saw everything that had been, and indeed it was very good. Everything is of God and everything is good. And that's the very basis of our belief, or should be. You know, as Anna said, God didn't make no junk. For those of you who are familiar with the book, Mr. God, this is Anna. So trying to describe something that's omnipresent, omnipotent, or omnipotent, omniscient, you know, all the omnis. I can't pronounce them all. It's kind of like the story of the blind men and the elephant. You know how that goes. One touched his side and said, "Oh, it feels like a wall." One touched his leg and said it felt like a cow. And somebody got the tail, and somebody got the trunk, and somebody got the tusk. And so they went reconnected afterwards, and they began to argue. You know, one said, "No, it's a wall. It's a snake. It's a spear. It's a cow. It's a carpet. It's a rope." That's kind of like us trying to describe in our multidimensional, something that's multidimensional in our 3D world with the 3D words and concepts that we have available to us. So let's just take one of these qualities, which is perhaps the greatest, and that is the quality of love. Love is difficult for us to truly feel, and it's very difficult for us to truly feel the love of God. In our 3D world, perhaps the closest is that of a parent for their children. If we don't have children, the love of our pets or the love for our pets is a close approximation. And if you were a school teacher, then the love of your students might fit in there as well. We want the best for our children, our students, our pets, etc. So let's just take a moment and go within and perhaps hold in our mind's eye a child or a pet or anything that will help you tap into that feeling of love. Just touch as deep as you are able right now. And just know that this is just a small representation of all the love, care, and support that Source or God holds for us. And I say to you, as the God character in the shed said, you are one of my most favorite people. We always say we're a spiritual being having an earthly experience. Right? So let's use the analogy of an iceberg. You know, 10% of the iceberg shows above the ocean. 10% of us might be represented by our body. And the other 90% is our spirituality. And let's just take that a little further and say if us, including our body and our spiritual being, our spirituality, is 10% of the support system that each of us has. This support system not only consists of our friends and our family, our community, our teachers, earthly beings, if we say, but also those on the other side of the veil. We have our spirit teams. Some people call them guides. Some people call them angels that are here with us. The ascended masters, whatever, always available to help us if we but ask. So that kind of covers, shall we say, the root. And as Ernest Holmes in, the We Believe that we have on the front of our Science of Mind magazine, I just want to refresh our memories The very first one is, we believe in God, the living Spirit Almighty, one indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe is the body of God. It is a logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. So I think most of us are probably familiar with the idea or the use of a computer operating system. You know, it seems if you're in the Windows environment these days, we keep getting upgrades or updates, and our computer pops up this special message that says, we need to reboot your system, right? It's well loved among all users of the Microsoft systems. So let's carry this analogy into our personal life and our personal operating system. And our personal operating system is our belief system. You know, just like we never bother saying Microsoft, Windows 10 and all that, we just call it Windows or whatever. Well, you know, we have this short term that we use for our belief system. You're familiar with our BS. So let's consider that perhaps we need to make some updates to our BS that we're currently operating under. If we don't feel like we're making progress in what we've been attempting to do over the last year, perhaps it's our BS that needs to be updated. So I want to talk about 3 beliefs which we may consider updating our perspective on. And I'm not saying these apply to all of us, but perhaps there is a kernel in each of them that might apply to each of you. The first one, I'm sure every one of you has your own definition for. It's karma. You know, our perception of that ranges far and deep. And it looks like most of us are of the age that you remember the 70s, and the word karma was sort of introduced into our popular jargon, and at least it was for me. And there were lots of expressions that came forth. Better treat folks kindly, or karma will come back and get you. Something like that. And the person speeding past us on the freeway who later gets stopped by the cop, that's karma, right? No matter what our perception was, that karma is not kind. As a matter of fact, there was an expression which I won't repeat here, but by inference, you will know what I mean. Karma is right? So there are a few other more enlightened definitions of karma. One of those is the belief that we're separate from God. One might have called karma unfinished business. Karma was still to be feared, and it was a punishment. You know, the expression, if you don't deal with it now, when it's little, karma will bring it around to you or get the cosmic 2x4 after you. Again, a sense of punishment. I want to build the case for karma being divine love. And I want to use the analogy of a windshield. You know, if the windshield is dirty, we're inclined to wash it because we're having difficulty seeing through it. Because we want to see clearly. Now, I remember in the days when I was a little younger, we would go to a gas station and there was actually an attendant who would wash your windshield. And my mother from the front seat would usually point up here or point there to tell the guy to make sure he washed that spot, right? So in our windshield, well, let's put it this way. Typically, we would attempt to clean all the spots, right? But maybe in our life, when we deal with our windshield, we say, oh, well, don't clean that one. Well, that's a bug spot I got in the summer of 2020 on a trip to the Grand Canyon. And it was a great trip. And I just want to leave that bug spot there as memory of that. Or there's another one. Well, it kind of gets in my way when I try to make a right turn. But I find if I move my head just right, I can see around it. So don't wipe that one off either. I've adapted to it. I'm fine. So, yeah, no matter how fond we are of certain spots, they still block the vision or they block the light coming through. And the same goes for our hang-ups, our misbeliefs, or bugs in our operating system. Just imagine this loving God or spirit wants us to feel or see, experience its full love without any spots blocking its radiance. That sounds more like love than punishment to me. It's that divine saying to each of us, come closer, my beloved, come closer. So the second concept I want to talk about is our victim stories. We probably still have a few of them hanging around. You know, the country and western songs, somebody done somebody wrong songs, and the other one, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. You know, they say telling our story once in a therapeutic setting is information to be processed and worked with. But telling it more than a couple of times, it becomes an affirmation. We paste other affirmations on our mirror and we say them in the morning once a day, and then we go out in the world and we introduce ourselves with our victim stories. We tell everybody about what's happened to us, the issues we have with our health, what have you. And we do that multiple times. And I think long before that, that one affirmation we had spoken to ourselves in the morning has fallen to the wayside. So is it any wonder that our lives remain the same? Jesus is reported to have said the following about the power of our word. I've modified it slightly, but then who knows what he really said. He says, I tell you, you can have anything you affirm. However, all you do is affirm what you already have. As our words are affirmations, so we affirm. Maybe this is something we want to examine. You know, I've noticed, and probably a few of you as well, it's much easier to recognize other people's victim stories than it is to recognize our own. Maybe you could make a deal with a good friend that you will both remind the other when you or they say something which is affirming a negative. Or not. It might be a quick way to lose a friend. It's a risk you might have to take. So no matter what, set the intention to catch yourself when you're using less than positive affirming statements about yourself and turn them around. And we know the power of intention. You know, that's what's so amazing about this life. You don't have to go anywhere but live your life to bring into it exactly what you need at every instant. And you've got that other 90% supporting you in doing that. So another one, number 3 that I want to talk about is a tweak, I'll say, or an extension of the idea that God is good all the time and everywhere. And if we go down the list here on the we believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. So I assume we believe this. We say we do, but do we really? And not to diminish the importance of reading, but everything we read and bring in intellectually is kind of like in school, you have the classroom work and then you have the laboratory work. You go out and you do the lab. Well, we're in the lab. What we read is classroom work. You get out to the real world, you're in the lab. That's where the rubber meets the road. So, there are some books that most of you are probably familiar with as well. When Bad Things Happen to Good People. You've never heard anybody say, how can God let that happen? Oh, isn't that horrible? And all you have to do is watch the news and you'll be convinced that God's goodness is rarely seen in the world. What is your spiritual practice while you watch the news? Do you have a spiritual practice while you watch the news? Yeah. Several of us have just finished reading a book by Robert Schwartz. It's called Your Soul's Plan, Discovering the Real Meaning of the Life You Planned Before You Were Born. So this requires a bit of a stretch. Some people have a question about reincarnation. I say, I don't care about reincarnation, but I believe in pre-incarnation for sure. Before I was born, I was intelligent. I was aware, maybe I should call it that. So anyway, the book deals with case studies ranging from physical illness to drug addiction to death and accidents. And in each case, the pre-birth planning of the individuals involved were investigated to uncover the why and what each was intending to learn from their chosen challenges. There was one case where a woman picked up a package and it was a package bomb and she was severely injured. And they even were able to examine the bomber's pre-birth planning to discover what the bomber was trying to accomplish by setting the bomb. So I think we should be prepared to release preconceptions or judgment about what's going on in others' lives as well as our own, because we have no clue what's going on right over there. So when I catch myself feeling sorry for myself, I gently remind myself that there was a reason I brought this challenge or whatever into my experiences, and that there was a higher purpose for my doing that. So rather than judging then how ungodlike these events appear, let's face everything with the assumption, called a feeling or a belief, that all is in divine order, and cultivate a sense of curiosity about how this may actually be in the best interest of all involved. Now, I use the word curiosity intentionally because if we use judgment, we're never going to see anything different. So if you're looking at the news, I wonder how that is fitting into the greater good. And many times I don't have an answer. I don't see it, but yet I've come from a sense of wonder, the wonder of a small child saying, there's God in there somewhere. I don't see it, but I know it. I feel it and I believe that there's God in there somewhere. And I know a lot of us have had the experience that in retrospect, we look back at it and we say, that was the best thing that happened to me. I learned so much from it. At the time, of course, it was, real doo-doo. So I think now what we do, we need to say, as the situation is occurring, today is the best thing that has ever happened to me. What is going on now is the best thing that has ever happened to me, because your spirit is operating through that and bringing you to greater clarity so that you can absorb and feel the greater love of the divine. So in summary, I just want to say that you are unimaginably loved and supported by the divine. Karma is divine love showing us where we are blocking the light that is waiting to come through. Our victim stories are just that, an identification of challenges we have chosen to overcome. So just do it. No matter the external appearances, Spirit is operating in, through, and around every situation, bringing forth the very best for all involved. And above all, the divine is constantly extending love to us, constantly saying, "Come closer, my beloved. Come closer, my beloved." And so it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for those reminders and refreshing my heart. And as my heart is refreshed, I just look out around all of you, around this room. I envision those on Zoom, those who will be watching this later on YouTube. I just see us, this one pulsating love, ready to refresh our lives, ready to put aside those goals, New Year resolutions, and trading those in by stepping into our truth, being willing to put aside whatever our past might have brought to us through karma, knowing that that is God's love, showing us through lessons, through guidance, through breathing through us. Knowing how powerful a tool affirmations are. That those old stories that have been so heavy on our shoulders can be released, and that as we meet our day and those whose paths we cross, that we can introduce ourselves by a positive affirmation of being that one entity of sunlight in this world, regardless of outside appearances. And ready to handle life's lessons. God is good all the time. What lesson am I to learn from this? How can I be of support to someone who's having a difficult time right now as they work through this life journey? We are here, I am here to make a difference. And today we have had words of reminders and maybe new tools to be that change that we want to see in the world, right here and right now, in this breath that we are taking together. I am receiving this love from all of you, the wisdom that I have just heard, and the knowledge that it's all good. releasing these words, allowing myself to evolve, to expand, and to manifest in that divine manifestation of spirit. And so it is.
We're going to do a song for you called Find the Light by David Ramirez. And I just really love this song. There's been times in my life where it seemed pretty dark. I mean, even to the point of feeling like I couldn't go on. And yet somehow I just find myself back on my feet again. So I hope you like this song.
I wish upon you peace. I wish upon you grace. I wish for less of what you want and more of what you need. I wish upon you an old life with a heart that stays young. But most of all, I wish upon you love. Oh, I wish upon your truth when all you feel is doubt. I hope you know that an open mind still knows when to keep things out. I wish upon you a brave heart that will always rise above. But most of all, I wish upon you love. Oh, as the sun sets, the moon begins to rise. So even in the darkness, you'll find the light. You'll find the light. You'll find the light. Yes, even in the darkness, you'll find the light. I wish upon you an easy life. I wish upon you hard times. I know you know that both joy and pain each need their moment to shine. I wish you ears that are quick to listen, that you're slow to use that tongue. But most of all, I wish upon you love. And as the sun sets, the moon begins to rise. So even in the darkness, you'll find the light. You'll find the light. You'll find the light. You'll find the light. Yes, even in the darkness, you'll find the light.
Just want to be sure it's my turn. Thank you so much. Perfect song for a perfect talk. Thank you. Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Sharon, for being here as well. Now is the time when we consider our giving back to this center. And another plug for Centers for Spiritual Living. They have an app that you can purchase. I believe it's $9.99, and this is a big CSL as opposed to our CSL, right? The mother load ship. But every morning I receive an affirmation through this app. And today's affirmation is appropriate for this time that we're considering our tithe. And this is my truth. I am grateful for the abundance that is already mine to share in this center and this community. Please note, one way to give to the center is to use Smile Amazon instead of just straight up Amazon. If you use them, we get 5%. We just received a notice that as of February 20th, there will be no smiling left on Amazon, but lots of smiling in here. So, though, as a side note, I personally don't use Amazon, but if you do, as my kids do, spend lots of money, please consider using Amazon Smile. And are we under Mastery in Life Center? Okay, we've grown. It says February 20th. Is January.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I think it might.
Okay, this is Bob Greer sent me this email, so I don't know who it's from. Okay. Is it? Yeah, it says February 20th. But anyway, just go. If it's not there, you won't be able to direct the money to us. But even more exciting is that this month's tithe recipient, because here 10% of everything that we receive goes out into the community. And for January, big brothers and big sisters, and there's our Nancy right there with her little sis that they've been together for forever. It's more than 100 years in operation under the belief that every child has the potential to succeed and thrive. As the nation's largest donor and volunteer supported mentoring network, we make meaningful monitored matches between adult volunteers and children ages 6 through 18. Research shows that the positive relationships between littles and their bigs have a direct and measurable impact on children's lives. And some research when I was teaching that was shared with me, it only takes one person to have that relationship that makes a difference in a child's life. It'd be nice if it was a whole village, but you can be that one person. Having a special adult they can turn to give a little greater self-confidence, leads to better choices, and generates more hopeful plans for the future. And I was in the program at one point, and I'll tell you, it's not just the little that benefits. The bigs also benefit from those relationships. So that's where our money is going this month. So please join me as we affirm our blessings. Here we go, all together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, in me. And so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
As you've noticed, we no longer pass the offering plates, but they are at the tables as you leave the room if you feel so inclined to share your abundance that I already see in each face here with the center and with our community. And I believe that all the words that could possibly be said have already been said. We are blessed, and we are ready to take our smiles and our happiness, our contentment and our joy from here out into the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you, God, as me. And so it is. So I invite us to stand and sing out.
Okay.
Sing out loud. Lift your voice.
Let there be peace.
Peace on earth, and let it begin
with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as the center, and we all agree. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace.